G'day guys, Ben and Simon here from Pumped on Property. Now in today's video, we're going to talk about what some of Australia's leading expert banks, advisors are suggesting about the Australian property market in 2022. And towards the end of the video, we're going to share some of the thoughts, both positive and negative, we have coming into this exciting new year. Hey bro, so 2022 is shaping up to be an exciting year. Now, as always, we absolutely love what Tim and the guys over at CoreLogic are saying. So let's talk about their predictions or their thoughts on the market moving forward in the new year.
Yeah, so we've got some information here from CoreLogic, Westpac, CBA, QBE as well. All pretty big names in the property game. So all of them sort of thinking it's going to be another positive year next year. Now, definitely not as nice as 2021, but 2022 is shaping up to be a good year. Now, I've written down some numbers here as to what they're predicting. Now, Westpac's come out indicating that they expect Australia to rise by about 8% next year. Obviously, some winners and losers there. Sydney to come up by another 6%, which will be a great 2-year run for them. Melbourne by about 8%. Now, Westpac believe Brisbane's going to be the top performing market in 2022, coming up by 10%, so another double-digit growth year for Brisbane. That'd be great. With Perth looking to come up another 8% in 2022, same as Adelaide. So looking at that, we've got a nice even spread between sort of 6 to 10% around the major capital cities of Australia. Now, CBA are a little bit lower. They sort of think the average is going to be about 7% increase around Australia. That would be obviously averaged out. So once again, some winners and losers there. And then QBE has come out with a pretty ambitious forecast of 11% for Brisbane house prices in 2022. So looking like it's going to be another good year.
I'm excited, man. Now, as always, these guys and we honestly don't have really any idea what's truly going to come. And, you know, I don't think anyone saw the 2020 year coming and the changes that occurred off the back of that. But what I do know is there's absolutely, like you said, going to be some big winners and losers. Now, one of the biggest pieces of data that I've picked up, I think from the guys over at CoreLogic, was they expect rent returns on houses in almost all of the capital cities to increase by as much as $100 per week in the new year. Now, whether that happens or not, like I know with one of my properties in Brisbane, I've just nudged it up by $10 a week and I was happy with that little win.
Wow, that's massive. You know, with some really lean vacancy rates at the moment, you can see why it's going to continue to put more pressure on those rental prices, and we'll see how that ends up coming together. But obviously coming off a very, very, very strong year Australia-wide, looking at these predictions, it's a slowing market. Things are slowing down. So what are some of the different reasons that things are going to be slowing down?
I love that, man. I think the number one reason is obviously there's some speculation which is laid in truth around interest rates potentially starting to rise in the new year.
Yeah.
And into 2023 as well. So that's going to be the first handbrake. The second thing is the media cycle around property has been extremely positive over the last year. And that sells for a while. But now we're moving into the negative cycle associated with property. You know, unrealistic gains, can house prices continue? Are we in for a crash? All of that normal sensationalist stuff that comes up at about this time after a really good 20% growth year Australia-wide. And we don't want to see another 20% year. Like, it's absolutely beautiful for ourselves, for you guys out there that have bought property, but that is absolutely not sustainable. Another one of the major handbrakes is APRA stepping in at the moment. They've just tightened some of the lending requirements as well, increased the buffer between, you know, the rate that the banks are lending out to us at and what they're testing us on. They're also asking for an arm and a leg again and a bit of your children's blood in terms of your applications for anyone out there doing them at the moment, which doesn't mean anything. They're just asking for more stuff, scrutinizing it a little bit more. And, you know, obviously that's going to have an effect and a slowing, cooling effect on the market as well.
And then on top of that, you've got an election year next year as well, where you've got the two opposite parties kind of going at one another and throwing out some of the changes that they'll put in place. And sometimes that puts a bit of a handbrake or forces people to hesitate on their decisions, is what we've seen in the past as well.
You know, all of this stuff for me personally, after just coming through such a big, emotional, energetic FOMO year, is absolutely music to my ears. I like a market that is easier to buy in with less competition and more fear, because it means better prices for myself, much better prices for my clients. So I'm excited about 2022. Like, it's been an incredible year this year, but bring on the new year. And as always, we have no idea what's coming. One of the positive things that I like is that, fingers crossed, the international borders do open. Some of these students come back to Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane, fill some of those inner city units that are currently sitting vacant. We also get some labour into the country as well, especially some of that blue collar stuff and some of that stuff to support the farmers that are doing it tough at the moment. And then if we can even start getting that immigration rate back up, all of these things are really, really positive for Australia over the next year as well.
Yeah, I just think with the borders opening back up, people being able to travel, people being able to spend a little bit of that money that they've been saving is also going to bring a bit of a slowdown effect to the market as well. So it'll be nice to see how it all pans out over the next 12 months. And, it'll be nice to get a little bit of negotiation back to the buyers as opposed to the sellers just reaping the benefits there.
I'm already noticing it in the market. Like, more and more properties are coming to us off market. Agents are picking up their phone on the first ring again, getting many more properties sent to us. I'm also watching the days on market slowly starting to increase. The DSR scores are coming back down. Sydney and Melbourne are clearly well past their peak now, according to the guys at CoreLogic. Sentiment slowing. The number of properties for sale Australia-wide is almost increasing across the border. And all of those things, like increased demand, less supply, less owner-occupiers going for mortgages, less investors going for mortgages, means that 2022 looks good. Now, as we look towards the year after that, again, we never know what's coming, but from our thoughts, when we think about 10 years of average growth being about 8% per year in Sydney in the last 10 years, 3 and a bit percent in Brisbane over the last 10 years, there is no such thing as 3% growth per year. It looks like 20%, minus 10%, 5%, minus 6%, 3%, 20%, 10%. And that is what I want you to recognise as we go through this next stage of the cycle. With increasing interest rates and a slight decline in sentiment, we might see a bit of a backwards year in 2023, which again, for me, would be a bit scary if I owned some property in Sydney, if I was planning on selling it in that year. But if you're a long-term buyer like Simon and I, you just completely understand that markets go up, down, sideways, but the long-term trend in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, when you average out the gains over the last 50 years, has been insane, over 9% per annum. And that's why we invest, not for the short-term fluctuations and swings. We're not speculators. We're investors that look to buy great properties in the right cities at the right time, and then hold those properties, pay them off, and get that passive cash flow for life to get those choices we're all ultimately looking for.
So it's all well and good to see all these predictions coming out, but the reality is only time is going to tell with this. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's looking like things could be positive again next year.
Without a doubt, man. So if you're thinking about buying a property in 2022, we would love to offer you a one-on-one strategy session. Jump over to pumpedonproperty.com, and myself, Simon, or one of the team members will sit down and look at where you are right now, where you'd like to be longer term. Then we can educate you on the market, and you can take that absolutely with a grain of salt, go and smash it on your own, or you can potentially become one of the small number of people we work with each week and each month over here. But either way, we're super excited for this new year. Lots of positive and negative things coming out. As always, welcome to the world of investing. But either way, we wish you all the best in the new year, and as always, please stay safe.
Sweaty, so sweaty. Oh, that's good.